Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined as always by Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we got play props here for you guys for game one. Very excited to be bringing these as we did pretty well in that last of that Eastern Conference Finals series with our player props up a bunch of units there combined. Definitely want to check out the best bets video we have for this game as well by liking and subscribing to that page. Also want you to head to thelines.com and check out all the content we're putting up on the site, as well as use that odds finder tool we have up there for you guys, and make sure you're getting the best odds available to you from all the different books that are offering us bets this NBA Finals. Nate, let's jump right into your first NBA play prop for this series.
Yeah, we did well last series thanks to the real MVP, Caleb Martin. But I'm going with a guy who we thought we had left for dead, Kyle Lowry. To get 4 assists is plus money. And I'm actually just not even going to add the point, deal with the points here at 7.5, which is pretty low. But look, when he's out there, he's getting about 25 minutes per game. He's looking to be a playmaker. At this point, he's not necessarily a guy you can rely on to score. His minutes might go up a little bit if Gabe Vincent continues to hobble because he was not very effective in Game 7, and then Lowry was able to step up with 7, 7, and 5. Even when Lowry has been bad offensively and turning the ball over and missing a ton of shots, I mean, he averaged 4 assists per game against Boston, a team that's harder to get dimes against than Denver, who's given up like 28 per game in these playoffs. In the playoffs, Lowry, with his 25 minutes, is turning it into 4.3 assists. And, the thing is, his assist rate is 23.5% this season in the playoffs, which is the same as the regular season. The last 2 regular seasons, he had a much higher assist rate. He was a 30% guy, getting a third of his team's assists in the regular season. But then in the playoffs, again, dropped to 23-ish%. So my point is, he's still around the same level as a playmaker, as a pick and roll guy who can make the right decision, a veteran with a ton of playoff experience. This is a 64th playoff road game. So I trust him to come off the bench and get some dimes here. Since he came off the bench, basically post All-Star break, he was actually much more efficient as a player, 124 offensive rating, but lower usage. Again, looking to dime more, 4.5 assists per game. He actually averaged 5.5 assists when he played the Western Conference this season and just over 5 when he had 2+ days rest. So I do think he'll be able to carry over from Game 7 and get you at least 4 dimes is pretty low prop for a guy who's looking to dish all the time.
Yeah, I dig it for sure. And he usually plays pretty well in these game ones in the playoffs so far. He's gotten 3, 3, and 6 assists in these game ones, but he's playing close to 20 or more minutes in each of those, 19 in one of them, but then 30 minutes versus New York in game 1, 28 minutes versus Boston in game 1. And then you see what happens in game 2. He plays fewer minutes usually in the next game. I don't know, he's just kind of old. You can't kill him, though. You cannot kill Kyle Lowry. He will be around forever. The 3.5 assists is a little bit high. I would love it at 3, but you do get the juice for it, like you're saying. I actually would consider adding the points, to be honest. I think the minutes that he's like to get in a game 1 like this on the road, especially where they've played all their game 1s, and that might be another big reason, is this is a veteran coming out getting minutes in a situation where he's on the road, and other guys like Gabe Vincent was one guy that I thought the moment looked a little bit big for in game 7. Maybe there were some ankle issues there as well, but that only adds to what we're saying here, that Lowry's a good guy to kind of target in some way for this game 1. So like I said, I would add the points. Actually, I think he'll be out there and he's going to shoot when he is out there because that's what he does, but he'll definitely be looking for the dimes as well. So I'm going to go with a guy who I'm ready for a big series from, and that's Aaron Gordon. I think he's going to have a really nice series, and I think the biggest reason is because Caleb Martin is just the power forward for the Miami Heat, even though he's at best a small forward and probably a shooting guard. Aaron Gordon to get 5.5 boards is really good money. This is incorrect. He's 5.5 on DraftKings is -110. I'm putting a unit and a half on it for this game 1. Like I said, I love Caleb Martin. I think we all do. But he is 6'5", 205 pounds. Aaron Gordon is 6'8", 235 pounds, and just sort of known as one of the strongest dudes in the league as well. There's a great clip of LeBron boxing him out when they're playing Denver, and he boxes out Aaron Gordon. He's like, you're not the only dude in the league who lifts. Other dudes get in the gym too, because he's just known as that big and strong. I think this is an opportunity for him to play off a Joker, cut to the basket, and be covered while cutting to the basket. But as long as it's thrown high enough, he's going to be the only guy that can go and get it because he's as tall as Bam, basically. Like Bam is basically 6'9", and basically the same height as this dude. And there's plenty of other guys on Denver known as like Jokic that Bam has to guard. So there's just nobody for Aaron Gordon at this point. There's nobody. We talked about it with Michael Porter Jr. as well. He's going to be able to shoot over everybody. Aaron Gordon's going to be able to jump over everybody around the rim. And as he cuts to it, and I think he'll be playing a lot closer to the basket as a result than he was in those LA games where he's guarding LeBron all over the floor, face guarding him, and that's all he's worried about. Now, he was the main defender on Jimmy Butler, and that was the only thing that put a little bit of fear in me for a minute, but I'm pretty sure KCP is going to be spending a lot more time on Jimmy Butler than anybody else at this point. He's about 6'5" as well, and definitely big enough to at least handle Jimmy. Maybe there'll be some help when he gets down in the post, but like that's where Joker's going to be standing. Even if Bam's standing at the foul line, Joker's not going to be far away from that rim to help out. As good of a help defender as he is, which isn't great, like at least there's somebody else tall down there to bother Jimmy's shot. I think the point is that like even if Aaron Gordon is spending some time on Jimmy, like I just expect him to be closer to the rim for most of this game. Before the LA series, he was averaging 6 boards per game and had gotten at least 6 boards in 9 of the first 11 games of that Denver played against in the first 2 series, averaging more than 6. So I just think this is a good opportunity to get it at 6 rebounds at -110. I think if he gets 6 or 7, the odds drop for the next game, and it's not going to get that much better. It'll probably fluctuate around this, but I think this is a good opportunity to keep to jump on Aaron Gordon.
Yeah, I'm on board with the rebounds for sure. Miami, as I said, expect to regress a little bit. 3-point shooting, we don't necessarily know what to expect from their offense. We know Denver's been great defensively at home. Only reason I didn't go for it is because I tried to hit AG's rebounds at the same price, and it happened to be the game he got benched down the stretch, I think against the Lakers because Jeff Green was playing so well. So yeah. I've soured on it since then. But even if I like the rebounds, I don't like him to score that much because I do think Miami does a much better job of being disciplined on back cuts. That's where he gets a high percentage of his points. But I don't think they're going to let the Joker dice them up from the elbow and get it down to Gordon. So what I like is Bam to score 5 more points than Gordon. Half unit if you want. And I would put a full unit on Bam to score 17, which is a -105, slightly better odds than the head-to-head bet there. Bam -4.5. But I'm looking for Bam to be really aggressive on offense throughout this series. It's what he's done when he's gone head-to-head with Joker in the regular season. He's averaging 18.5 points per game in 6, but lately, the last 3, he's averaged nearly 22 a game with a 30% usage rate. And that's with Jimmy getting 20 a game on a 23% usage rate because he's dealing with Aaron Gordon and KCP, 2 guys who are really good matchups for Jimmy Butler. To be frank, I don't think he can necessarily dominate this series from that perspective. I know he dominated Drew Holiday in the first series of this playoffs, but look, I just expect Miami to try to make Joker work as much as possible to maybe hopefully get him into foul trouble. That's probably their best path to victory. And for Bam to be that aggressive guy. On the road in these playoffs, he has been more aggressive, 18 points per game versus 15.5 at home. Higher usage rate, shooting a higher percentage from the floor. And AG, when he's asked to focus on defense more, he's averaging 13 points per game on 15% usage in these playoffs, which is not that high in general. But the last 4 against Phoenix, when he was really being tasked with slow those guys down, like he might be with Jimmy, play more defense, 9.5 points per game. So, I mean, that's just not going to sniff where I think Bam is, where his prop is at 16. And I think Bam can get 18 here if Miami's going to be competitive.
Wow. I'm just not targeting Gordon's points the way you are. I mean, I don't have strong reasoning to oppose that. I like the matchup for Gordon, and his is only at 11.5, right? Which is probably where it'll be a lot in this series. It's about what he's averaged against this team. I just putting money on Bam to score points is what scares me. Maybe he will. Obviously, he only had 12 in that last game 7, but that's a different story than a game 1. So I'm not gonna I really don't have much of an opinion on it, mostly because I would be more scared to fade Gordon. But I think you have solid logic and the understanding of why Bam will score. So if you're expecting close to a 20-point game from Bam, that also is a pretty solid alternate little sprinkle if you want for Bam to get around those many points. But I understand you're also stronger on fading Gordon, right?
No, I'm going full unit on Bam's points and then half a unit on him to outscore Gordon by 5. Because I
Okay.
do think there is more variance on that AG thing. But
Okay.
you like the matchup. You don't know if Caleb Martin's going to start at power forward again, though. Like Miami might adjust if they don't like that matchup.
It's a good point. I'm not sure if you were purposely segueing to my last pick, but it was a good point. And it does segue into Caleb Martin points, rebounds, and assists, baby. Minus 120. Bet MGM. Love the guy. Plus 3,800 before game 7 for him to win the MVP of that last series. Jimmy Butler scores 9 big points at the end of the game 7 to pad those stats. I don't know if that's really what put him over the top. And it was such a close vote. No disrespect to Jimmy. It's just a further indication that, like, if one of these teams, whichever team wins, their best player is winning MVP because they are the sun around which everything, rotates. So there's just no way another player, the other players get their sort of value sucked away by the fact that Jimmy and Joker are seen as the sun of their team, right? So, but that doesn't matter because Caleb Martin is at least the third best player. And at times the second, and at time was the best player on the Heat throughout these playoffs. And he's at 24.5 PRA. And this bet is predicated on him starting, Nate, because in the games that he started is when he gets 41 plus minutes. I suppose there's a world where even if he does not start, he's just sort of asserted himself and inserted himself into the most important lineups of the game at the most important times. So he's going to get 41 minutes like he did at least in the last 2, including 45 in that game 7 where he was just filthy in that first half. And throughout the game, he just never stopped. I'm going to believe in it. Like, I think we all were just sort of assuming this is a guy playing above his pay grade for a while, and sometimes guys step up in the playoffs, and maybe next year he won't be this good, but he's playing with confidence. Like, basically, let me put it this way. When he hit a turnaround, a step back turnaround fadeaway J from like 17 feet away, like calm and collected like he was Kobe Bryant, I was like, oh, okay, this is different. This isn't just like an athletic big guard getting to the rim and hitting a few threes because he's hot right now. This is a dude that has like an all-around game, and we've just been missing it for whatever reason. There'll be time to break that down. But in the last 2 games where he has gotten at least 40 minutes, we're talking about 26 and 21 points, 10 boards and 15 boards, and then like averaging 2 assists in there as well, a steal a game. I mean, the hot shooting is like bananas. But even in the game, where he shot 69% nice in that last game 7, 54% from the field. And then look, I mean, what he's shooting from 3 as well in the playoffs overall, 44%. He's had a number of games where he's played less than 30 minutes, but that has not happened since the Boston series, where in that first game, he came out firing in 30 minutes, had 22 PRA. And then in game 2 came out with 32 minutes and had 29 PRA. So he basically got the PRA every time he got 35 minutes, except for once in that Boston series, out of all those 7 games. So like, just once you play the man, he gives you what you need. And 24.5 PRA, it's getting high. I mean, the points are at 16.5. I probably shouldn't be as scared of those as I am, but I am. And the points, rebounds, and assists I like because I believe in his minutes and his usage. And the fact that at this point, like, he's definitely the third best rebounder on this team after Jimmy and Bam. That's why he's playing power forward.
Yeah, and he should play a lot of small forward if Miami mixes and matches to try to get more size out there. He's earned the playing time. And yeah, you said he has an all-around game. I mean, let me tell you something. Everybody on the NBA bench has a bag, has something that they can pull out. If you were to play one-on-one, I remember hearing a story about somebody playing Scalabrine when he's 40 and just the amount of moves he has to pull out of his bag when he's playing in rec league. Like, you don't even know how much these guys can do. It's just a matter of opportunity and confidence. And Caleb Martin has gotten both in spades here the last couple series. You see the assistant coaches screaming in his ear, like, you're the best fucking player on this floor right now. And he's acting that way. So I do think it can carry over in game 1 to a degree. Denver's not very good defending that position if he is playing small forward. And he's a little too quick for Gordon. You say, like, he might not be big enough to box him out. Well, can AG deal with him on that kick and rip as they've gotten him going on so much? I don't know.
It's a great question. I kind of feel like we're going to see MPJ on him, to be honest. I think he's actually proved his mettle a bit on defense. I think he's a better matchup with his quickness and size to guard Caleb Martin, but like, nobody is a good matchup for Caleb Martin right now. I know we're joking, but until he proves us, like, I'm semi-joking only because it's like he came out of nowhere and now we are talking about him like the second coming of Kobe. But like, he's proving himself, man. And even if it is just like he's like just he resembles Jimmy Butler's chutzpah. Like, he's got the same fu to him that Jimmy has, and like you said, that confidence, man, is sky high, and that is like 70% of being good at basketball. To the points you were making as well. Shout out Scal and all of his footwork. But that is all the time we have in our Play Up Props here for Game 1. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page and continue to follow along. Check out the best bets. Check out the series prices and futures that we talked about as well in a separate video. And until we see you next, happy betting.